Imagine you have a very dedicated assistant. Every morning you walk into the office, sit down, and you tell that assistant exactly what to do, step by step. Write this, summarize this document, flag that transaction, one instruction at a time. You are in charge of every single step. That is how most people use AI today. Now imagine something different. Imagine you sit down, you give that assistant one clear goal, and then you say, I want you to keep working on this. Check your own work, improve it, and only come back to me when you genuinely need me. That is an AI loop. And according to some of the most advanced thinkers in the AI world right now, that shift from giving instructions one at a time to designing a system that works on its own is the most important change happening in AI today. My name is Rosa Estañol. I am a former international banking executive, a certified fraud examiner, and I follow the evolution of AI as it applies to financial crime, banking, real estate, and compliance. I am not a software engineer. I am not here to talk about code. I am here because I believe that fraud examiners, compliance officers, and banking professionals deserve clear, honest, practical information about where AI is going and what it means for our work. So today, let us talk about the AI loop. Let me start with something most of us can relate to. Think about the last time you used AI, whether that was ChatGPT, Claude, or any other tool. What did you do? You probably typed something like, summarize this document, or help me write this report, or what are the red flags in this transaction? You typed, it answered. You read the answer. You decided what to ask next. That is called prompting. And prompting is genuinely useful. It saves time. It helps with writing. It helps organize information. There is nothing wrong with it. But here is the honest truth. Prompting is manual labor. Every single step requires you. You are the engine. The moment you stop typing, the system stops working. Now think about your workload for a moment. If you work in financial crime or compliance, you already know that the volume of information you deal with every day is not getting smaller. Bank records, transaction reports, subpoenas, case files, regulatory updates. The work does not slow down. Prompting AI one question at a time is better than not using AI at all. But it is not the answer to the real problem, which is that there is simply too much work and too few hours in the day. That is why what I am about to share with you matters. A few weeks ago, I was reading an article by Dharmesh Shah, the co-founder of HubSpot and one of the most thoughtful voices following AI today. He opened his piece with a quote from Boris Cherny, the man who created Claude Code, one of the most sophisticated AI tools available right now. And this is what Boris Cherny said. I am going to quote him exactly because I want to be precise. I don't prompt Claude anymore. I write loops and the loops do the work. My job is to write loops. I read that sentence twice. The man who built one of the most advanced AI systems in the world stopped prompting it. Not because prompting stopped working, but because he found something more powerful. He writes loops. So what exactly is a loop? Let me explain it with the simplest example I can think of. Let us say you own a small coffee shop. Every morning you have one employee. And every morning you walk in and you say, make me a latte. The employee makes it, you taste it, you say a little more milk. They adjust. You taste again, you say perfect. That is prompting. You are involved in every single step. The moment you walk out of that coffee shop, nothing happens. Now imagine something different. You sit down with your employee and you say, here is what I want you to do every morning. Make a latte, taste it yourself. If it scores less than an 8 out of 10 on this checklist, too bitter, too weak, too cold, make it again. Keep adjusting until it scores at least an 8. Then bring it to me. You have just written a loop. You defined the objective, a great latte. You defined the metric, the checklist score. You define the boundary. Bring it to me when it reaches an 8. Now your employee works independently. They check their own work. They improve, and they only come to you when they have something worth showing you. That is the entire concept. Objective, metric, boundary. 3 ingredients, 1 powerful shift. Now let us bring this into our world, because this is where it gets genuinely exciting and genuinely important. Think about one of the most common tasks in financial crime investigation, reviewing bank records for unusual activity. With prompting, you upload a set of records and you ask, Are there any unusual transactions here? The AI gives you an answer. You read it. You decide what to ask next. You are driving every step. With a loop, you define the system differently. You say, review these records, flag any transaction over $5,000 that does not match this account's normal pattern over the past 90 days. For each flagged transaction, score it from 1 to 10 based on these three criteria: unusual amount, unusual timing, unusual counterparty. For anything that scores 7 or above, prepare a one-paragraph summary. For anything below 7, note it but do not expand. Bring me only the high-priority items. Now the system is working with you, not just waiting for you. It has an objective. It has a metric. It has a boundary. You are no longer reading every line. You are reviewing what matters. And here is something important, something I want you to hear clearly. The loop does not replace your judgment. It frees your judgment for the work that actually requires it. The volume is handled by the system. The meaning, the interpretation, the professional conclusion, the decision that is handled by you. Now I want to share something that Dharmesh Shah wrote that I think is one of the most important ideas in this entire conversation. There are two kinds of loops, a loop that runs and a loop that learns. A loop that runs does the same thing every time. You set it up, it works, it produces results. That is already valuable. That is already better than prompting by hand. But a loop that learns, that is something different entirely. A loop that learns takes the signal from every pass and feeds it back in. It asks, was this output better or worse than the last one? And it uses that answer to improve the next run. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you are using an AI loop to draft investigative summaries. Every week, it produces 10 summaries. You review them. Some are excellent. Some need work. A loop that merely runs produces the same quality next week. A loop that learns, one where you have built in a feedback mechanism. Even something as simple as marking each summary as strong or weak uses that signal to get better week after week. The loop compounds. In our field, think about what that means over time. Every case is a signal. Every pattern that turned out to be fraud and every one that turned out to be noise is information that makes the next review sharper. That is not science fiction. That is the direction this is heading, and the professionals who begin thinking about it now will have a real advantage over those who engage later. I want to be honest with you about something because honesty is the only thing worth building a reputation on. The questions around AI in financial crime and compliance are genuinely difficult. They are not solved, and anyone who tells you otherwise is not being straight with you. What about evidentiary integrity? What about confidentiality? What about the difference between using AI as an investigative aid versus using AI output as a documented conclusion in a legal proceeding? These are real questions. They matter enormously in our field. And the answers are still being worked out by regulators, by agencies, by legal professionals, and by practitioners like you and me. The answer is not to wait until everything is perfect before engaging, because perfect guidance may never arrive and the world will not wait. The answer is to engage thoughtfully, to design your loops with professional boundaries built in from the start, to know exactly where your judgment must remain in the process and to protect that space. The loop does not make those decisions for you, you make them. The loop just gives you more time and more clarity to make them well. So here is what I want to leave you with today. You do not need to be a software engineer to start thinking in loops. I am not one. What you need is clarity about your own work. Take one task, one thing you do repeatedly: reviewing records, summarizing documents, organizing a timeline, preparing a report, and ask yourself 3 questions. First, what is the objective? What does a genuinely good output look like in one specific sentence? Not vague. Specific enough that you would know without any doubt whether it was achieved. Second, what is the metric? How would you know, without reviewing every single word yourself, whether one pass was better or worse than the last? This is the hardest question. If you cannot answer it yet, sit with it. The difficulty is pointing you towards something important about your own professional standards. Third, where is the boundary? What can a system do without you? And where must it stop and bring you back in? Be honest about where your professional responsibility requires your judgment. Then protect that line. Those 3 questions, objective, metric, boundary, are the foundation of responsible AI adoption in our field. The man who built Claude Code no longer prompts AI, he writes loops. And I believe that fraud examiners and compliance professionals, people who deal with complexity, volume, and high-stakes decisions every single day, have more to gain from this shift than almost anyone. Not because AI replaces what we do, but because it multiplies what we do, the judgment, the integrity, the professional responsibility that has always been the irreplaceable part of our work. AI does not change that, it clarifies it. If this resonated with you, I write about exactly these topics in the Fraud AI Report, my publication for fraud examiners and compliance professionals who want to understand AI seriously without the hype. The link is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.